If someone was like, you have to eat your own turds, or you get to drink Soylent for a month, I'd be like,
yummy.
Hello, friends! Welcome to User Friendly. No, nothing. The podcast where we talk about tech, all things that are on the internet that we like, and our favorite stuff on the web as well, which seem to be the same
thing. But okay.
I am your co-host, Girlfriend Elijah. I can't believe you didn't get my reference, dude. I can normally count on you.
I saw it at the corner of my eye, but I still don't know what it was.
Oh, okay, let me do it. Roberto Hoyos, co-host.
Hello, Roberto Hoyos here.
No, nothing.
No. What the hell is that?
Spaceballs greeting?
Oh, see, I was never really big into that movie.
Oh, you weren't? Okay. No. Big Rick Moranis fan here. Throwboy guy.
What's up?
I was just saying you're from Throwboy. Did you say that already?
No. So.
Just to the fine folks. No,
you threw me off with your
weird
that
was
hand
weird.
Thing.
That was weird. We're just going to keep it going, though. And you might know me from the Cultcast podcast. Apple Podcast. If you haven't ever heard of it, you should go check it out on iTunes. If you like Apple stuff, you might enjoy the wacky, crazy humor.
Maybe, yeah.
And we have cats playing a piano. Was that the reference you were doing?
Yeah.
Wow. See? That was really obscure and actually not really looking like a cat playing a piano, and yet I still guessed it. And you're rolling your eyes. Your eyes at my wonderful
I'm sorry,
Spaceball. Hail, Scrooge! Scroobed.
I still don't know it, dude. I'm not going to know it because you say it.
I thought that would jog your memory. Spaceballs reference for those of you who had never seen Spaceballs. Go to hell.
Is that a reference from it too?
No, that's just the way I feel about you. I haven't seen Spaceballs? Go to hell. That's my bumper sticker. How's it going, dude?
It's going good.
Fantastic.
I had a little anecdote for you.
Please, share.
This morning, I went for a run, and so I run around this lake that we have. It's called Green Lake, and they have a track around it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, people run, people.
Did you do the inside or the outside track?
Stuff. Inside.
Because the outside
dirt track.
The dirt track is for the hardcore.
Yeah, no, there's people that run barefoot in the grass now.
Gee.
Yeah, I don't do that.
They're called hippies.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The same people that have the tight ropes between the trees.
Oh gosh,
so many of them.
They don't have that anymore because it's too cold, I think. But it's also really windy and trees are falling down.
That's fun to do.
Yeah.
Tightrope walking when it's really windy.
But
anyway,
so yeah, I'm running, and then I run for a little while because I'm just getting back into it, and I walk. As soon as I start to walk, there's a guy. I'm smelling like smoke. Huh? I'm like, what's going? Like, is somebody smoking? Mm-hmm. There's a guy walking around the track smoking a cigar.
Oh, cool.
And there's people like...
Is his name Uncle Buck?
But like, people are running and breathing in really hard, and there's this guy like a chimney that's like crowding everybody, and everybody's looking at him like pissed off, and everyone's like... But no one's
It's just weird that he's smoking a cigar. That doesn't happen a lot in Seattle.
But that's just like... Totally, I'm trying to exercise my like freedom. Like I think that
Did he have a handgun and a holster on his side?
Like you can tell that if you were to say something like, "Hey man, like there's kids all over the place. There's people running."
Draw his firearm.
Yeah, he probably would want to start something with you because that's like otherwise. You can walk anywhere. Why are you walking around a track like an aerobic type of setting with your cigar, man?
Having a cigar. Did he have like a small glass of dessert wine too? That he was drinking as
he's like he had a hood on like the Grim Reaper.
It's probably Marlboro. One of them BLUNTs.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No. It was a cigar.
Oh, just a straight up cigar.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird, man. In Seattle especially, I feel like smoking's kind of taboo.
Yeah, I mean,
especially in areas of fitness.
I mean, I don't care if you're smoking in other places, but this is an area of fitness. Like, that's weird.
I honestly wouldn't consider Green Lake an area of fitness, although people do run around it.
Yeah, but there's per capita, there were way more people doing fitness than just like chilling. Because it's rainy. It was a rainy day. What else are you going to do besides run around the lake? You're not going to sit there and like
do push-ups in your house like
bask in the sun.
Well, I don't know, man. That's weird. You should have started a fight with them.
No,
This story could have had an epic ending.
This is the Seattle mentality. You just you roll your eyes at people and
don't say anything.
I can't believe he's doing that.
Oh man, I'm just gonna keep this to myself and keep walking faster.
He kept catching up to me though. I was like, oh cool, I'm like away from it, and then I'm like, oh damn it, I have to start running again.
Because you ran so many times around the lake.
No,
how many times around the lake did you run?
I only did once, but like,
dude, once is enough.
No, yeah, I mean, I can't do more than that.
I think it's like 3 miles all the way around.
I would injure myself. Yeah, it's like 3 miles. Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
About your cigar smoking encounter.
You just have a more empathy towards it because you were a smoker.
That's why.
That's why you're like,
bothered
me.
Yeah,
I don't
wouldn't have bothered me. I'm like, hey, nice cig, brah. I would not have said that. I would have just ignored him. Was he wearing like a Cuban hat and he was like dressed really nicely?
I told you he was wearing a hoodie.
Oh, I forgot that.
He looked like he was the Unabomber.
Maybe he was gonna like blow someone up, and he's gonna light the wick with his cigar.
Yeah,
like a real G does.
I don't mind it in other settings. I mean, it's public setting, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing that was annoying me because I'm sitting there like running and breathing in super heavily.
Dude, next you're gonna say that when I'm at my gym on the elliptical, I shouldn't be taking hits from my water bong, my hookah, aka what? It's just taking rips from my hookah.
Next time you have something that bugs you, I'm gonna be like, well, you know what? He had a point.
Cool. Hey, I was around this guy who was really racist the other day. Yeah. It was really just irking me bad. What do you think? He had a point.
I think that guy probably had something going on. If he was having a bad day.
I agree. I just don't like nationalities besides my own. Really bug me. Anyway, before we offend any more people, what do we got on the slate today? Oh, hey, we're doing a kind of Netflix review. So if you watched last week's show, we're going to be talking about Sound City, which is a documentary. It's actually not on Netflix. You guys probably all know this, but in case you're tuning in, if you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon Prime, and it's also other places. Mm-hmm. You could always just
go to your local movie theater.
Steal a red box and plug it at home, and it's like all the free movies you want. That was my solution. It's in my basement. And but let's start with this. You wanted to do a little Soylent follow-up from last week?
Yeah.
The delicious beverage that makes you shart at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. My friend found a good little post on their forum. So they have a forum of active Soylent users.
Of people complaining that they can't stop turbo pooping.
It's really quite disturbing because a lot of people are like, 1 month in, my lab results are problematic, and they like show like how their health is going down, and it's just like, stop drinking it then, because you go from being, eating solid food to doing a liquid diet,
a totally like engineered, like scientifically conjured diet.
Some guys made like that you don't know from Adam. Like I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, right.
So like anyway, I thought this one was interesting.
Okay, so what am I doing here?
You want to read this?
Okay, so this is by, I guess, somebody in the forums.
Yeah. With your nice voice.
Okay.
Take it away.
I do have a wonderful voice for radio. I'll cover up my face so you guys can pretend that you're not seeing me. This guy says, I've been on my homebrewed version of Soylent. Homebrewed?
Yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of people are doing like their own versions of it.
I just figured that I would just grind up chalk. I mean, they're both white. I have been on my homebrewed version of Soylent for about a week and a half now. I don't know what homebrewed means. It immediately sounds like a bad idea. I'm no longer consuming it exclusively, but I was for the first couple days. During this period, I was chewing a lot of gum to at least partially satisfy the urge to chew something. Gee, wonder why you're having that urge. It's crazy. Could it be a sign from your body that wants you to eat something? As has been my habit for years. Chewing's a habit of mine as well. I was swallowing it without thinking. This is headed exactly where you think it is. Turbo pooping. No, he didn't say
Even
that. That's
better.
me. Basically, after all the solid food from before, I started the diet left my system. Oh wait, after all the solid food from before I started, the diet left my system. There was presumably only one thing left. A big hunk of polysobutylene? The heck is that? Sounds like something you put in.
It's like a chemical in gum, I think.
Okay, butylene,
Or
huh?
something in gum, not chemical, but yeah.
It sounds like something you use to light a lantern. Passing this was an ordeal. Ordinarily, it wasn't noticeable, but the gum is less than 1% of the solid matter in my stomach at any given time, without much normal poop as a vector.
TMI, he said.
I don't know. He calls their poop a vector. The polymer, which isn't digested, is just a gummy coming out as it is just as gummy coming out as it is going in. I felt out times I was blowing a bubble. A butt bubble. Hey guys, look what I did. Moral, if you're on a liquid diet, don't swallow your gum. Oh, so this has nothing to do with the actual soylent. Gnarly.
That's pretty gross, right?
Yeah.
You're blowing an anus bubble of gum, of bubble yum.
Depending on who your significant other is, that could be a good thing or bad thing. It just depends on what you're into, I guess.
So, like, this is the kind of crazy stuff that we were finding on there. And it was like, God, just not do it, maybe. Because all these things that are just kind of like health problems, and people are like, oh, let's talk it out. Like, why? Like, oh, did
I
you
wonder
do this?
what
Did you
could
do
be
that?
the problem.
Yeah.
I had a stroke today.
Yeah.
I've been on Soylent for 6 months. I don't know what could be the problem.
Going blind in my left eye is not as painful as it was when I went in my right eye.
I literally cannot control my bowels any longer. I wear a cloth diaper wrapped around my torso that I've made from old shirts.
What? You're reading that?
I used to think that sharts were something that only happened in movies. Now I cannot stop sharting.
It's really there.
On the bright side, all my friends think I'm hilarious. Until they realize that I can't stop sharting. Soylent. Have some.
And you fall apart like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly.
Yeah, your nipples fall off your body.
My nail has come completely off.
You're brushing
But it
your
didn't
teeth,
hurt.
Your tooth just falls out. And your eyebrows fall off into the sink.
My ear just came off me.
Yeah. I wonder what could be the problem.
I saved it in my medicine cabinet.
In case we can sew it back on at a later time. Cool. I can't wait for my Soylent order to get here.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
all
have
I'm
to
gonna
try it
drink.
on the show.
We should order some.
I think it's a good idea. We'll taste test it for you guys, so you don't have to go through it. I'm sure it's salty and warm.
It's like salty. Ugh. And frothy at the top. And it's like you can't totally blend up all the chunks.
It has like a skin.
Yeah. But the thing is, you know, like with like
gravy.
dairy products, it's like it takes a minute for that skin to develop. With the Soylent, it's just immediate. The skin, it just immediately appears at the top. And it's covered with like a fine froth that looks like hair. Disgusting. It makes me want to puke just thinking about it.
And it like congeals at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's like this much liquid at the bottom.
It separates like oil. It's oily.
Soylent.
A very oily taste to it.
Not only that, but Soylent has got to be the most unappetizing name ever. I think I said that last show.
Yeah.
Ugh. Soylent.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Moving along.
So, you want to talk about some brain trees, correct?
Yeah.
Tell me what we need to know here.
All right. So, eBay's PayPal, let's just call them PayPal.
Let's just do that.
PayPal has acquired Braintree, which is another online payment backend.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I think they were getting big, or they had raised
You sent this to me, right?
69
Oh, no,
million.
this is Soylent. Okay, sorry.
So they'd raised millions, and it was Square and Braintree that were trying to get them. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Square and PayPal, they're trying to get Braintree.
Okay.
Basically, what happened was PayPal got Braintree, and they're gonna roll them into their thing or whatever. But
For
that
$800 million, huh?
yeah. But
Okay.
that wasn't the thing that was interesting, was the way that they released this information as a video, sort of like a video press release, but
Okay.
in a very, very strange, quirky type of way. And in a very PayPal way, but you'll see why.
Okay, should one of us be filming this? Methinks?
I'll try. I was thinking about adding it in post, but
Oh, you could do that as well.
we'll give it a go anyway. Makes my life easy. Okay, you want to see?
I do.
Here we go.
I can't wait. And a payment platform far, far away. Yeah, PayPal wants to be your buddy.
This was long, by the way.
Don't worry, it's only like 40 minutes long.
I think I will add it in post.
Good song.
So what we're watching is like a chat. If you're
It's like iOS 7 chat too.
It's like what is it called? Messages.
And messages, yeah.
And they're talking back and forth like PayPal, who is called what do they call? BRP Payments Geek and the
TM Payments Geek.
Yeah. And they're like going back and forth, like we don't want to turn into this, and it shows like this nerd. Don't worry, we got rid of all the cues. This is an official video.
This is so dumb. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
I know. What is this, man?
2G2BT.
Too good to be true.
Oh,
that took me a while.
I heard that one before.
Because it's like not real chat lingo. Let's change payments. Like what? Okay.
You're right. It's totally bizarre because it does not tell you anything at all.
No.
I have no idea what I just watched.
But like,
or why they would put that on YouTube, or why it has 17,000 views.
And why is it like? I can understand maybe if you were like some instant messaging company and that was like your thing, but like, why are they talking over IM and we're seeing that like?
And they have very bizarre handles, like DR payments, whatever.
And at the end, they show them like.
We're both rich now. So wait, what does Braintree do? What does it actually do? Did you see that in the story?
Yeah, it was like Braintree essentially powers and automates online payments for merchants and companies online.
Okay.
It's like what they do. Like they were probably in their space and they're like, oh, we should just get you.
We should just buy you guys. But only 800 mil.
But isn't that like so corny? Like it's so PayPal. Like in terms of like, they're like Microsoft in the way that they're not actually cool, so they have to like find a marketing firm to like make them be cool.
Dear Lord, I hope that was not something they paid a marketing firm for.
You don't think they would?
Gosh, I hope not. That was terrible.
Yeah, it was really bad.
It's totally confusing. I don't even know what the point of it was. It doesn't tell you anything.
It doesn't tell you anything, and even if you were to think like, oh, I get it, they're talking, it's still lame.
Yeah,
like, it's not cool.
It is. It's true. Even if you knew what you were talking about or what they were talking about, it's like, this is still really dumb. I'm not just trying to be a hater too. That's a fact. That was dumb.
Oh, and I can prove it with math.
I can prove it with mathematical formulas that I worked out over the weekend.
Yeah, I just thought that was like really cornball.
Typical.
It's
PayPal.
It's like when we talked about how PayPal just re-released their mobile app and they made it look exactly like Square. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
as soon as you signed in, it was just as terrible as it always was.
Yeah, exactly. Like they don't have any of like that core culture of being like hip or design centric. So they have to like kind of like farm it out or like just phone it in, you know? And then they get like this facade of this cool thing.
Facade, perfect word for it.
And then it's just like, yeah, but you guys are still lame as hell and everyone doesn't want to use you, but
Here's
they have to.
Here's the thing, guys. We don't need to be cool. We just need people to think we're cool while they're signing in.
Yeah.
And then we're good. Let's just give them let's just shovel up the old horse hockey that we've always been. And once they're locked in, we'll be good.
You were saying just the other day, you were like, I'm surprised that Square hasn't taken over.
I am surprised. Yeah,
PayPal.
I would love to see as business owners, we actually care about such things. I would love to see them, develop an API so that you could, take payments from people online and implement that kind of stuff in your website. That would be really cool. I would be surprised if they weren't at least working on it or hadn't considered it.
Yeah, they seem to be growing slowly,
Yeah.
but in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with growing slowly. I think far less companies do it nowadays because everyone wants to look like they're, everything's popping every 2 seconds.
And they just want to get as big as they can as fast as possible.
Yeah, but Square's seem to me, hopefully, they seem like a company that wants to grow a company and be like actually not just try to get acquired by somebody else.
Yeah.
So,
although Jack Dorsey is going to be, you heard about the Twitter IPO?
I didn't hear any real hard.
I haven't heard anything besides the fact that they are going to be filing an IPO, and then, dude, Jack Dorsey is going to be he's going to be a billionaire probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My gosh.
Isn't he already though?
I don't know. I mean, Twitter, who knows what he's gotten because it's a privately held company, so who knows, how much money he got in exchange for, founding it or whatever, but
he's still a stockholder.
I would guess he probably is.
I feel like he's the one that got the least stuff or something.
I mean, he developed the actual Twitter platform originally, and Twitter was his idea.
Yeah.
So I would guess that.
That doesn't always mean that you're going to get everything.
No, he could have gotten screwed.
Yeah.
But he's got enough money where he can create all those weird vines of him just staring into the camera for 20 seconds. And he wears like glasses with frames that look like they're from Demolition Man.
They're like clear plastic.
Yeah, those clear plastic ones. I'm pretty sure I saw Wesley Snipes wearing those in Demolition Man at the Taco Bell.
And he said, "Be well."
Be well.
His Twitter handle just says, "Be well."
Look at that smug look he's got on his face. It's hilarious.
They pick the weirdest pictures for Wikipedia.
Do they?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, cool. Hey, let's move on to the meat and potatoes.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, what?
Yeah, there we go.
I'm not sure why we're doing that.
Because we're moving along.
Oh, nice. I like it. Good segue. We should do that for all our segues. So we reviewed.
Wait. Before we go into this,
yeah,
let's read an iTunes review.
Do we have new ones?
Yeah, we have a really good new one.
Booyah!
So we don't have to
where am I? I don't even know where I'm going. Let's see here. iTunes user friendly.
Yeah.
User friendly.
We're the only ones called user friendly.
Okay. Oh, but you know what? We remember. Oh, we have some new ones. Dankeschön.
Thank you.
That's German for thank you. Let's open this in iTunes like bosses.
Dude, iTunes has pushed out podcasts so hard. I don't even know how to use it in iTunes anymore.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that. There we are. Let's see here. I'm looking for reviews.
Right there.
Boom.
And show
most
recent.
helpful. I want to read most critical. I hate these two people.
Okay, this is interesting.
Okay, let's do this one. A real friendship. This is a 5-star review. Thank you from Noah DeMello. Thank you, Noah. He says, the funny thing is, before I had ever followed Cultimac or knew who these guys were, I found both their company products online and bought a shirt and a pillow.
Thanks.
Thank you. After I found Cultimac, listened to the Cultcast, then found this gem. Airfall and Roberto are true friends and talk about tech and make jokes as I do with mine. That's true. We do like to make jokes too. I feel like there is just a friendly connection they make with their audience, which I hope grows, as do we. Thank you, Noah. Anytime I show this podcast to someone, they love how friendly and laid back it is. I love how it is not so professional like CNET or Gadget. Thank you. I like how these two schmucks talk about nonsense for at least 40 minutes per show. Not like the professional shows, Engadget or CNET, where professionals actually know what they're talking about. I jest. But yet, the show is still great quality news and jokes. Thank you. Love you guys, and you've got yourself a fan.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Noah DeMello.
Very nice of you.
Appreciate.
That's the one I wanted to read because the rest are.
That's awesome. This one?
Those are old.
Oh, this is old hat? Oh yeah, that is old hat. The oldest of hats. It's like a top hat. It's like one of those weird top hats from the 1900s. Cool. Well, thank you. If you guys like the show, we would love for you to leave a iTunes review for us, preferably a 5-star, because that's as high as you can go, is the 5 stars. Mm-hmm. And it makes us feel good about ourselves, and we both have self-esteem issues, so that helps us in that way. And then also, as you can tell, we make no money from the production of this show at all.
I lose it.
Yeah, I actually lose a little bit too. Every time. I'm not even sure where it goes. My wallet is just missing bills. I'm pretty sure it's because Roberto just steals them.
Every time I leave the house, I have a hole in my pocket. I don't know why.
I have literally taken money out of Roberto's wallet after doing this show, so that explains his money loss. But an iTunes review helps us keep the show going in a mental and emotional way.
We get paid in stars.
Yeah, we get paid in stars, and some of you send us drugs, which is always awesome. Okay, so on to the Netflix review. This is, of course, the segment where we talk about a movie a week after we tell you we're going to be talking about it so that you have an opportunity to watch it with us.
Yep.
I love this segment.
Me too.
It's cool. And, there's just so many movies I see out there where I'm like, oh, we should review that. Oh, we should review that. My friend the other day was talking about Terminator 2. I'm like, dude, we should review that. It's on Netflix right now.
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
That would be really tough, but it'd be fun to talk about.
It'd at least be fun to talk about.
I think it would be like, I don't always consider like what I talk about when I do these a review, because I don't really give any real like feedback. I just tell what I liked about it and what I thought about it. I don't know if that's necessarily a review because we spoil it, Yeah. But so that's why if it was like if it was just not a documentary, I would probably not really sound like I knew what I was talking about. Like, I don't know about film,
I know. We're not like Siskel and Ebert over here.
I wish.
Where they actually know film history and stuff. That would be really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think that people just want to hear our opinions, not because we're right or wrong, but just because it's fun to hear people talk about movies that you watch together.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we reviewed Sound City this last week. Neither of us had seen it. And this is a documentary about a historically cool music studio called Sound City. It was produced and directed by Dave Grohl of Nirvana, the drummer for Nirvana, and now of the Foo Fighters band. Do you want to start us off and just tell us what you thought of the film?
I can try, yeah.
Let's hear it.
I thought it was wonderful. I really, really liked it. This really was one of those things that was, it kind of struck me because it hit a place in me because this is what I went to school to do, was to do audio engineering.
To be an audio engineer, right?
Yeah, so like I did audio engineering as when I was 18 to like when I was, I think, 20 or 19. And so all of the stuff, like even from the very beginning, I was hooked because it was like, oh, they're taking the time. Like I've never seen a movie take that much time showing somebody just do that kind of mundane setting up the tape reels and then setting up the board. And I was like, I've done that a zillion times.
Really?
That's so cool. Like I remember that room. I remember like the smell of when I used to do that. I remember like the feel of that. Because I worked on both of those pieces of gear that they were talking about, but the board was the same brand. It wasn't the same board.
Okay, yeah, because that board was custom made.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, like the aesthetic of that was really cool, and I really liked it. But from a movie, I thought it was really interesting. They talked about basically this studio got started by these two guys that wanted to kind of like hit it big because they found that the record industry was kind of like blowing up, and they're like, oh, well, if we like find new artists and they want to record with us, like we can like hit it big and like make $1 million, and be millionaires or whatever. And I thought that was an interesting story. Like, I don't think I've heard of people like starting a recording studio for that reason. Usually you start a record label for that reason, or a band.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
totally.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. And they said that the other part, the big part of this movie was the console, this Neve console that they had, which is the mixing board that you see in every studio, right? And this was, they said, 1 in 4 in the world that existed, and they bought this. The owner bought this board to basically jumpstart the studio because he's like, well, if we have the best gear, then we will probably find the best artists that will want to record there. And basically they started with the breakout was like Fleetwood Mac, and then they
like Fleetwood Mac before they were Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. And then that just kind of like happened, and then all of a sudden, since that went crazy, everybody wanted to record with them.
Yep.
And then that kind of jumped it off to where they were like the studio for a while. And then it kind of goes into like another part about Nirvana, which I think is really interesting, but we'll get to that. And then it goes up to present day. But I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. Like they seemed to find a way to capture what it was like beyond just like this is a cool studio and lots of famous people went through it. I think they touched on a lot of things that I think about a lot in terms of like yeah, you can make music nowadays with your computer and by yourself in your room, but something about having those people around you and making music and the imperfections that can occur and actually recording live to tape or to digital, it's just interesting. Like that I think that some of that is lost, but I think some of that is starting to come back. Like people are understanding that that's like an important piece of making music. So it wasn't just about the studio's history. It was about like kind of overall like music making philosophies.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
I did too. Kind of at a higher level, I thought it was a great movie. I think that I really loved the first probably 70% of this movie, and then the last 30%, I was like, I thought it was cool, but like once they got past the historical part about Sound City, and there's a lot of emphasis in the movie about this amazing soundboard that they have, right?
Yeah.
And they talk about the history and all these incredible bands that came through the studio just to record on this soundboard because the guy who designed it is like a genius. And this board makes people sound really good, and it was really great at recording drums, which is like the heart of every album.
Yeah.
Loved all that stuff. And then once they got to the part where Dave Grohl basically buys this board and takes it back to his house and starts making what I thought was like really kind of like subpar music. Like I was like, oh, there's all these epic bands that you're showing at the beginning of this documentary, and then it's like, you know, Paul McCartney comes in and they're like writing music, and I was just like, oh
really?
Not feeling these songs.
Okay.
The best is behind that board. So I really love the documentary as a whole, and I think one of the reasons I liked it is probably similar to what you said. Is you and I both have very musical backgrounds. I used to play in band, and not like rock band, like school band, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I played clarinet, I played bassoon, you know, like that really long instrument that has that weird thing that comes off of it. And always wanted to do music like as a profession in my life, and that's not the way I've gone, but it's a very nostalgic thing for me, like being in the band room. There's very unique smells, and like the instruments that are old, because, you know, like schools don't have nice instruments, have a very particular smell to them.
Yeah.
And like I remember going into the band room, and we would all open up our instrument cases, and it just kind of smelled musty back there. And it smelled like old wood and stuff. And that's what this documentary kind of took me back to, is that time in my life where I was very creative musically and got to play an instrument every day.
Yeah.
And that was really awesome, you know? And that's when I was like, oh man, that would be so cool just to hang out in a studio like that. And it was dirty and gross.
Yeah.
And super cheap and not nice at all. But the whole point of it was just to make great music. And I think that's really awesome. And probably one of my favorite things about the documentary is kind of what you were saying earlier, in that this movie kind of points out the fact there's two mentalities about making music. There's the old school variety and the new school variety. And there's kind of a break that happens within the documentary where everyone's like doing stuff on film and recording things on film, right?
No, tape.
Or on tape, sorry. And in order to do that, because it's so difficult to edit on tape, you actually have to know how to play an instrument.
Yeah.
And how to sing.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of comments about how a lot of these incredible albums from, you know, all these amazing bands that had come through were the performances that you were hearing. That was the actual performance that got played in the studio.
Yeah.
And they had like interviews like Tom Petty, and he was like, when we first got here, we weren't good enough to record an album because we thought we were good, and then we would hear the recording back, and we were like, oh, we really suck because this studio is no frills. Like what you play is what you hear on the tape. And then kind of where the studio starts having trouble is when they start introducing digital editing, which, much like that documentary we reviewed about how movies had moved from film to digital, it was very convenient to edit digitally, but didn't necessarily sound great. But the convenience was so powerful And the editing capabilities were so powerful that people wanted to move that direction. But the problem is it allowed kind of like the music industry to evolve in the way that it has today, where there's all these really terrible bands that have hardly any talent.
But they can fix everything.
And they can fix everything in post.
Yeah.
And one of the things that one of the guys said in the documentary that really stuck with me, he was like, people used to be like, they would get popular for having a rare talent. Like they'd be an amazing singer, they'd be an amazing guitar player, and they'd have to earn that talent, right? But now you have all these bands that just go in and just slop a bunch of crap together and then just edit it in Pro Tools because it's easy, and they pump out an album, and then when you hear them live, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, how this band that really sucks put together such a musical album? And it was really kind of sad that that's where we're at, and that's because digital allows all these people all this convenience to create these really crappy albums. Like, you don't have to have talent anymore.
Right, and then the other thing is, like, it takes kind of like the heart out of it when you can go in there and splice everything and make, I messed up there, let me put that note here and all that kind of stuff. It takes that human feel out of it. Like,
yeah,
you know, I think that's really cool when you can listen to these old records and they were played live, you know? Because that's what music is, you know. It's not just about being perfect. Everything
Tom Petty even said that. He was like, your music isn't supposed to be perfect. Like, it just has to have soul.
They talked about like feel for a little portion of that movie,
That's
which
very
I thought
true.
was really interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. That the story kind of evolved into this philosophy about recording techniques rather than just a history lesson about the place that where it was or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I had mixed feelings. Although I mixed feelings about when Dave Grohl bought the console, because it was like he attributed that console to where he is today, because basically the studio was going downhill in the 80s because digital was starting to creep in, sequencers are starting to creep in, drum machines and things like that, where you wouldn't need a room sound anymore because you could sequence a drum and things like that. And the musical aesthetic had changed a lot, because it was like you listen to records from the 80s, like they sound very kind of like robotic and digital, because it was like the very beginnings of digital. Nirvana kicked the door in and they came out with Nevermind, and that was totally different than the hair bands and all that crap. And since that created, the big kind of like shift, he was like, well, this console changed my life, basically, is how he attributed it to it. So obviously he made the movie, and then he wanted the console. And I mean, I think honestly I kind of liked that part, because I thought that, you know what, I think Dave Grohl is like, he seems like an upstanding type of person. Like, he seems like a guy that understands that this is important. Yeah. I would much rather have it go to someone that knows the importance of it and is going to take care of it and actually use it.
Oh, I totally agree. I wasn't upset that he got the board. I guess for me, I was like, it's awesome that he has the board.
Yeah.
But the music that was being made, I just was so not to my taste. And I was like, oh man, it was more than just the board. Like, the board was a major piece of it, and I think it's awesome that he got to keep it.
Yeah.
But it was this amazing kind of like microcosm of culture they created inside this space, where all these things came together in a way that no one planned, to allow these artists that were also new to create all these amazing records.
Yeah. I totally agree with you there. And I do think it was a cool sentiment that he brought back a lot of the artists that recorded on it, and then said, like, this is the first thing we're going to do with this, is we're going to record, a
new album.
We record something with you guys. I thought that was cool. Who knows if the album's any good? I don't know. But I mean, if he's going to have it, and hopefully he lives for a long time, maybe other bands are going to record on it. Maybe it's going to be something that people want to record on. Who knows? Because it's tough to say. Like, Abbey Road Studios still exists, and people kind of come and go through there. Like, White Stripes recorded on there. Like, I mean, some of these old studios that have a history to them, people still use. But per capita, most people don't really go rent out a studio and stay there for 5 months and record an album. That just doesn't happen anymore. So I think it's cool that at least somebody that is has an interest and has a love for that went and is going to preserve it. Because, like, you're right. I mean, you can't... You look at studios like the Motown studio where all these amazing hits came out of. You can't just extract one thing from there and go like, oh, we'll create the Motown sound if we take that from it. You know what I mean? Because it was the band, it was the songwriters, it was the singers.
The time period.
Yeah, it was the time
culture.
period.
I mean, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you there, but if it's between it just deteriorating and going away versus somebody that loves it taking it, take it.
You should just put a wrecking ball through that place.
I thought the end of it was actually going to be like a sad ending because they kind of alluded to that in the trailer.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like everything got sold off and it just, no one thought to preserve it.
Some dude on eBay had the amazing Nev board, board. I wonder what happened to the building.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't say anything.
Yeah, they didn't really touch on that at all.
Yeah, it was cool though. They took a little bit of time to talk about some albums. Like they talked about Tom Petty for a little while. Then they talked about Nirvana's album. I thought the Rage Against the Machine part was really interesting. I was like, oh, talk more about that because I love that album. I think that album's amazing. The first Rage Against the Machine, they recorded live and they had like their friends watching them. I was like, are you kidding? They recorded that way? That's crazy.
Man, that's a lost art form right there. And one of the things that digital allows you to do is just like dub stuff over and dub stuff over. And I have a lot of respect for a band that can practice, like Pearl Jam does this, and go into a recording studio and just play the album and record it. And that's what they sell on a record. And I think those kinds of recordings create the most spectacular albums because A, you have to be truly good at what you're doing to do that.
Yeah.
And B, it creates little nuances in albums that you just don't get otherwise because you might try to polish those things out because they feel unpolished to you.
Because you want it to be note for note perfect or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I have kind of two sides to that. Like, I think that some of that is amazing. Like, there's some albums that I love where they purposefully were like, we're gonna go for the one take, play through. And there's some really great albums that do that. Even some current ones, because I think people that are around our age or younger, that grew up on really like these old records are like, oh, we want to do it like they did, and you can still do it that way. It's not like it's impossible to actually do what you're saying. But there's also people that have done amazing work that involved a lot of overdubs and involved a lot of takes. Like the Beach Boys did that a lot. The Beatles did that a lot. You know what I mean? Like some of these amazing albums like Sgt. Pepper or Pet Sounds, they involved lots of overdubbing, lots of tricks to make things sound fuller and all this kind of stuff. So, I love the stripped down, but I also really respect people that can use the studio as a tool that way. And they talked more about that as well. But I mean, usually what you get, the best sound you're going to get is typically what you're going to actually capture. It's not the other way around. It's not like, oh, we'll just capture it and then we'll mess with it. It's usually, if you can get a better sound, that's what I was taught in school. Is like, if you can get the best sound with your mic placement and actually getting the instrument live or getting the voice, that's the way you should get it. Not let's try to fix it up later.
It's the same with photography where people are like, oh, we'll add it in post. That's one philosophy, but a lot of people are like, get it right when you're doing it the first time, right?
And they were talking about that too, and I thought that was like, I think that nowadays, because you have digital, and digital is just such at your disposal to mess with in terms of like post editing, it can kind of mess up your creativity because you're thinking about recording, or let's say you're playing the guitar or singing, and you knew that you just messed up. You'll probably just stop, instead of like, let's see how the performance goes. You'll be like, oh, let me stop. Or, hey, I just got those two lines right. I'll make sure that I cut that in, and then I'll take out the other part that I messed up.
Right.
On. And then you turn into like this step recorder where you're like, you record a little bit. Okay, well, that was good there. I'll jump in again. I'll punch in right here, and I'll do a little piece for those bars. And it's like, it just turns into a robotic, non-performance thing. And it's weird because some people have made really good and interesting work that way, but I don't know. I feel like it takes the heart out of it. But I mean, even like Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys made an album like that, and it's amazing. So I mean, there's different ones that you can.
There's definitely definitely no set way that's right or wrong. I don't think, but yeah, I guess if you're not using it as a crutch.
Yeah.
then that's kind of the big thing, right? Where you're like, you really suck.
Yeah.
But you're able to cobble together an album.
When I was in
Pro Tools.
when I was in the studio, and they were recording with tape, we were recording a salsa band, and they were doing a lot of that where they're like, "Oh, we got that part, just punch us back in," which means start recording after a certain point. So like, they could step record, which is basically where you start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, and it's like, you guys are like a live band. You guys can't just do that in the studio. You guys are being like, you turn into this like over analytical perfectionist where you want to like get every single note perfect. And it kind of holds up the creative process, in my opinion. But I thought it was interesting. And like I said, it brought back a lot of really kind of old feelings for me, because I used to be that guy that got to the studio at 9 or 8 in the morning, was setting up all the mics, setting up all the cables.
Yeah, what a cool job that would be. If you're into music and you're into like creative processes and that type of thing, and it would be incredible. I mean, my cousin Sabo recorded an album with his band, and they were getting pretty popular in Seattle. They had a really great band.
Yeah.
And they'd won a bunch of contests and stuff. So they'd won this recording time in this really like prolific Seattle studio that I wish I could remember the name of, but I can't. And you walk in, because I'd gone in there while they were recording parts of their album, and it was just like all these amazing albums on the wall, and you're like, whoa. Like, I think Pearl Jam 10 was recorded there. 10! One of the best albums of all time was recorded in this studio. It's just amazing. The energy in this place is so incredible. And the creative spaces that they have set up where you can just kind of go and play your instrument, and they have mics and stuff to record everything, are just so incredible. It's just a lot of fun and really inspiring to spend time in a place like this if you're into music. And I was kind of remembering that a lot when I was watching this documentary as well.
Yeah, it's a really interesting vibe, and it's just like, I don't know. It just makes me feel like back in those days when I used to do that, you know?
Dude, we need to start a band. ENR Go Berserk. That shouldn't be the name of it. This is the first thing my brain gave me. Thanks, brain. Hey, I want to read you guys some of these albums that were recorded here, just so, because we only named off, I think maybe like one or two. So Neil Young recorded some of his best albums there. Are you a Neil Young fan?
I like Crosby, Stills, Nash, but I don't like Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Elton John recorded Caribou there. Fantastic album. Bill Cosby. At last, Bill Cosby really sings. I didn't know that was an album. Fleetwood Mac's original album there, and that wasn't their first or last one. REO Speedwagon, Foreigner, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers did like a bunch of albums there. Pat Benatar, Santana did Z-Bop. Haven't heard that album. Barry Manilow did one there. Let's see here. Fleetwood Mac, Nirvana. Blind Melon! Did Blind Melon. That was, remember like 1992? Awesome album. No Rain. Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine did their album there. Johnny Cash, Weezer.
Yeah, Pinkerton.
Super Drag. 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Ry Cooder. Do you know who that is?
No.
Josh Groban. Okay, wait a second. See, now these are new albums.
Noah and the Whale. Yeah, that's like brand new.
But see, here are the years. The studio must still be open.
Yeah.
Maybe they sold it. Maybe they sold the studio, and like the new owners were just like taking it and making it all digital.
Maybe.
Because how the heck were all these albums be made there still?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Does it say that like they had a? They don't say anything about it closed.
They don't say anything about it. It doesn't say anything about what happened after they sold that amazing soundboard that they had. That's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It's strange that they didn't really tell you what went down, because like the owner's still alive, and like I don't know, they just didn't really tell you much about it. But still, really, really well done documentary. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it just made my respect level for Dave Grohl, like you, just go way high. I mean, that guy is just he's all aces in my book. Like, really just like stand-up guy, good sense of humor. Doesn't really seem like he's super egotistical.
No, he even sort of made fun of himself in the documentary when he was talking to what was his name, like Hubert Neve or something like that, the guy that designed the console. That's right. And he's like, it shows shots of this guy talking like all this mathematical stuff, and it shows Dave Grohl, and he's like,
I barely graduated high school.
yeah. No, I'm a high school dropout.
High school dropout.
Yeah. It said it underneath in captions.
It's like the captions of what's going through his brain.
Yeah.
That was really funny. And this guy is just like super dry talking about this piece of incredible technology that has recorded some of the best albums in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing though, whenever I hear about well, okay, let me back up. Like, I just think it's cool when artists get a hold of these things that were created like very mathematically, like these pieces of gear, guitars or drum machines or whatever, but it's or like keyboards, and typically the people that create them aren't musical, but because they came up with this thing, like now all of a sudden we have all these crazy bodies of work that was done from the artist taking it and then kind of like, you know, figuring out how to make art out of it.
Yeah, truly. Very cool. Alrighty, well, that's all I got, unless you want to add anything else.
No, you should go watch it. I don't know. Do you feel like it's a for everyone type of movie? I felt like very inside baseball when I was watching it. I felt like I knew what was going on because I did that stuff, but I don't know if everyone would get it.
Well, I was never a sound engineer, although I have used mixing boards and stuff. But for me, I think anyone that loves music, and I mean really loves music, you know, like
Apple loves
music. Like if
music.
you're really into like Rihanna, this may not be the album for you, the movie for you.
Okay.
But yeah, great point. Like Steve Jobs loved music, you know, and
I was just
he actually
kidding,
loved.
they
I'm
always say
serious
that.
though, but
because they would always
bands
be
are
like,
actually really good.
They would talk about like the iMac for like an hour, and they'd be like, "But the big thing is." We love music. You're like,
ladies and gentlemen, Rihanna.
Yeah. That was like always what they would do too.
Ladies and gentlemen, the guy who did Owl City on a laptop, on a PC in his bedroom. I do think it's for everyone. Anyone that loves music, I think, would really enjoy this, because the part I think that was most special to me was going behind the scenes for the creation of all these amazing albums, and that's really the part I love about these kinds of documentaries. And same with movies, you know, like when you get to hear the stories behind these incredible works of art and how they were made and how it was like a huge struggle just to get through. And it wasn't just like they just cranked it out in 2 hours and these people are just immensely talented, which some of them are.
Yeah.
But they really struggled to put this thing together. And those incredible stories, I think, are what I love the most about it.
In the vein of this, if you do like these types of behind the scenes of recording amazing albums, there's a really great series called Classic Albums, and they're available on Netflix Instant. They have a whole bunch of them for albums like Nirvana's Nevermind.
And they're just documentaries on the making of making of those
well,
albums?
they get back the artists, and then they go through and they go through song by song and talk about how each one was made. It's really cool. There's one for Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. There's Paul Simon, Graceland. Like there's one for the first Black Sabbath album. There's like everything. Like Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
What's it called again?
Classic albums.
Classic albums on Netflix.
Yeah, it's really they're really good.
I'm gonna check
they're
that out.
I think they're probably like, I don't know, half an hour each or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got to add. Besides a little side note, please don't tweet about Breaking Bad if you're watching it.
That's already gone though. Like
I don't know.
By the time they see this.
Oh, maybe.
Oh wait, actually, don't you have like mutes on your tweets so that you don't
I
have
don't,
to see that?
because I don't know what people are going to tweet about. We were just joking before we started the show because people are tweeting about Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I saw a spoiler, and I'm like, don't tweet about spoilers. Don't even joke.
I hope I don't, because I'm going into hibernation until tomorrow.
Me too. Yeah.
But you are not even close to caught up, so I think you're gonna have to do that, or you're gonna have to get off social media.
I'll just wait a week. Yeah.
Because
I'll just do what I normally do. I'll be totally vain and not read tweets. I'll just push stuff out.
Okay. You might. Yeah, all right. But anyway, I'm
yeah,
excited.
I
for
did.
it.
I saw some tweets and I'm like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Okay. Any hooskies. Let's wrap her up.
Yeah.
So Roberto, tell us if people didn't know that we did more than just this one episode and they wanted to see the other ones, how would they do that?
Yes, you can always go to iTunes and subscribe.
Indeed.
We are just user-friendly on iTunes.
Indeed.
The first thing that pops up.
Indeed.
And you can go to youtube.com/userfriendlyshow.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go to our website, userfriendlyshow.com.
And also, we have both audio and video. Let's be honest, most people probably know this already. But hey, for the 1 or 2 new people that we have both audio and video in case you don't want to see our faces, which, makes sense.
Yeah, on the go,
I've seen my face a lot. I understand it's offensive.
Where can these guys find more about you?
If you wanted to follow my tweets and see those, you could do that on twitter.com/Erfon. ERFON. What about you?
And I am just at Roberto Hoyos, RobertoHoyos. Don't be expecting what you think you're expecting, because I'm weird on Twitter.
Yeah, super weird. He tweets pictures of his legs and women's stockings.
Yeah.
He's wearing wigs and stuff. It's very bizarre.
I honestly don't know what people think of me via Twitter, because, I just tweet whatever comes to mind. I never really tweet anything interesting.
No one ever tweets anything interesting.
Well, some people like to follow, funny people or people that tweet about, technology or whatever, and I just tweet stupid shit that only makes me
here's
laugh.
my soup.
Yeah.
I put a Cheerio in it.
But anyway.
Okie doke.
That's about it.
All right. Well, thank you for the iTunes reviews. Thank you for watching the show.
And thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. Until next time, stay user-friendly.